And at 10, Final Nights. While originally this number was meant to be the Willy's Wonderland fan game, I couldn't find any information on it, and nobody who played this game included links in their description. Yet if we don't put a link to something we play, everyone flips out on us. No matter the double standard, Final Nights is much more fitting game for this list. The Final Nights series as a whole is pretty inventive. Starting off the series with Mike Schmidt fleeing the FNAF 1 pizzeria after it's losing power, but it being followed by a mysterious entity that escaped from Freddy called the Brother, and then escalates from there, eventually adding the Reaper animatronics and the mechanics of actually having to sleep to pass time in FNAF 3. Ironically, the same game the Reapers are introduced. The animatronics are scary, the story is scary, and it's all honestly more disturbing than the original game, and I think that's something that we can all appreciate. And at 9, Before the Good Memory. Before the Good Memory is a FNAF fan game made by GameJolt user Mr. Rybizzle. In this game you play as Richard, who is working at Fredbear's Family Diner working to save up money to go to Junior's for his son's birthday. I'm assuming that it's the Juniors from Midnight Motorist. But as the GameJolt page puts it, it doesn't go good. The only two animatronics in the game are Spring Bonnie and Golden Spring Freddy, aptly named Fredbear, because, you know, it's Fredbear. But features helping on the office desk, which I don't think would happen, but hey, whatever, it's a fan game. After entering the office in this free roam diner, the player activates the animatronics that will begin free roaming and will charge at the player when seen, but you can lean around corners and turn your flashlight off to minimize your visibility. The game is definitely an interesting one and a different take on gameplay, and the sound design is good as well, making the jump scares really hit. And at 8, The Twisted Carnival. When 5 children are mysteriously found dead unexplainably after a ride on a Ferris wheel, it's obvious that something strange is happening, and the secrets must be uncovered. Working as a night guard at King's Carnival has its perks, like getting unfettered access to the park during the day, but during work hours, expect to spend long nights fending off Bear Hug and his gang of mechanical husks as you plunge deeper into the darkness of the Twisted Carnival. Can you solve the mystery? The Twisted Carnival is made by GameJolt user Galva_ and includes everything you love about a FNAF game. Multiple angles, a big door, or in this case a window, mini games, and terrifying animatronics. There is currently only a demo available, but nonetheless these animatronics are hella spooky. With characters like Foxtrot, Bonzo, Bear Hug, Chixie, and question mark, there is bound to be plenty of horror come the full game release, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be playing it, but others will. And at 7, One Night at Flumpty's. The GameJolt description for this game is, the game is an inside joke. There's no backstory, no meaningful undertones, nothing to theorize about. It's just for fun, so have fun. And after dealing with this series for 7 years, we know that there is always a story. There's always something to theorize about, okay? We just know it. This wonderful fan game includes characters such as Flumpty Bumpty, Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, which is the real Eyesore, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty, and the Owl. The game plays similarly to FNAF, with relatively similar mechanics. However, there's a hole in the wall where Grunkfuss the Clown can pop out of, and the game appears as if it's all hand-drawn, which can make the game appear slightly less terrifying, but it also makes it more personal and can give you more of a personal connection to the game if that's what you're looking for. And if you want to theorize about it, I'm sure that there's something you can. There's gotta be something to be found, right? We need to get like a community together to form theories for these games. It has to happen. We gotta connect all the FNAF fan games to the lore, somehow. Please. Please. Set up a Discord. And at 6, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awoken. Final Nights is absolutely terrifying. If you haven't seen Top 10 Scariest FNAF Animatronics, the first part, go check it out because I talk about Reaper Puppet and it's one of the scariest animatronics in that whole series, but also in the whole like FNAF world, even including the fan games. Like, oh my god. I said that the Reaper Puppet looks like a weird version of Jeff the Killer, and I'm not wrong. The whole series is populated by messed up versions of the original animatronics, like Withered Toy animatronics and the Reaper animatronics like I mentioned earlier, which are the ones appearing in the third game alongside the Reaper Puppet. And Reaper Balloon Boy looks like something I've actually seen in my nightmares before I've ever heard of these games. The third game in the series, which is the one I'm most familiar with, has you literally staying in your hospital room when the animatronics attack, which is incredibly rude. Like, come on, man, I'm recovering, but you're still going to invade my personal space like that? While yes, in that game you need to survive until morning, time doesn't actually move if you're awake. You actually need to sleep in order to make any progress, which means that you're going to be leaving yourself vulnerable to attacks. It's an incredible game mechanic, and with terrifying animatronics, it's an interesting way that the series could have gone. But if it went this way, oh man, I'd be playing it a lot more. And at 5, Dormitabus. I know you guys were saying that I'm saying that wrong, but I don't know how to say it normally, so. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic, while all you have to defend yourself is a rusty old desktop and your own reflexes. You are challenged by a whole host of robotic monstrosities, but the thing is, they used to be your friends. Who are you? Where are you? And what the hell is going on? You'll just have to figure that one out yourself. The reason I found out about this game is because of a Reddit thread that said that this game had one hell of a messed up story, but they didn't really use that language. They used more vulgar language. The story of the game should be discovered for yourself, so I'm not going to spoil it. But the game ties itself into the lore of the first 4 FNAF games, not including Sister Location or the Silver Eyes because they hadn't been announced when this game was released. But I mean, they should have expected it because Scott releases a new game like every other month. Well, not anymore. He used to. We remember the days. And at 4, Bonnie Simulator 2. Ever wanted to kill kids? Okay, ever wanted to kill kids in video games? Well, how about killing a security guard while you travel instantaneously from camera to camera while he tries to survive? Well, if the latter tickled your fancy, you probably wanted to play as an animatronic. Well, in the series of animatronic simulator games, you play as one specific animatronic. In Bonnie Simulator 2, you play as either Toy Bonnie or Withered Bonnie in the FNAF 2 location, where you travel from camera to camera trying to attack the guard. However, they made the game more difficult, so the guard is pretty smart and is actually good at the game. They should have like difficulties where you like fight against YouTubers, you know? Like a Markiplier difficulty, a Daco difficulty, MadPat, you know. The big FNAF YouTubers should be difficulties. I don't think it's in production anymore, but if someone wants to do it, be my guest. That idea is free. You're welcome. I usually charge a hefty sum. And at 3, Five Nights at Fredbear's 3. Welcome to Fredbear's Family Diner, also known as William's Restaurant, a new pizzeria burger restaurant based off the old Fredbear's Family Diner and Fredbear and Friends. You work as a security guard from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and fend off animatronics for 5 nights. Not only that, you have to stay until 7 a.m. to conduct repairs on the animatronics too. You have 5 days until the party, so let's get ready. Five Nights at Fredbear's 3 is getting a free roam remaster coming soon, and the game currently has a demo available as well and features your favorite killer animatronics and more, with new infected variants on the originals from what I've seen in gameplay videos. At least, if they weren't lying. The game is being made by Jordan is Grade 505, which pains me to say because that's my sister's name, on GameJolt, and the demo was released 6 months ago, but they still post regularly on GameJolt, link on their GameJolt page, so you can follow them if you'd like updates. The game looks absolutely horrific and wonderful, but again, I'm not gonna play it. You can. Penultimate lean at number 2, Dormitabus. Dormitabus is a fan game that was developed by Blackout, Own Trick, Stephen Mater, and Super Arthur Bros. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic. The only thing that you're given to defend yourself is an old dusty desktop computer and your own reflexes. The player is challenged by a whole horde of robotic monstrosities who, ironically enough, used to be the protagonist's friends. This game is absolutely nuts, and the story is some of the darkest that I've seen. The game was made before the release of FNAF 4, so only includes details from the first 3 games, but it only needs those. Jesus Christ, if you're into some up then play this game, because there is gore galore, okay? With animatronics constantly showing decaying muscle and blood and the muscles like stretch. Oh my god. If you've seen any of the alternate animatronic lists on this channel, then you'll have seen the Havoc animatronics or Garvey, this game's version of Springtrap, and just dear god, this was also made before the William Afton name reveal, so there are a lot of things that are different to the main series. If that's what you're into, it's messed up. It's hella messed up, man. I'm telling you. Finally, in at number 1, The Joy of Creation. While Dormitabus may be disturbing, nothing can be as scary as The Joy of Creation. Both the free roam and story modes are horrifying. Created by Nixon on GameJolt, it's no wonder why this game was added to the Fazbear fanverse. It's the night of August 8th, 2016, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2nd anniversary has passed. Celebrated worldwide, the hit indie horror series and its creator have made themselves a place in modern culture and the hearts of many. In this game, you play through the eyes of Scott Cawthon and his family, as they try to survive inside their own home on the dreadful night that brought the horror into reality. The scorched beings, whose origin and motives are yet unknown, find secrets lurking in the house and uncover the mysterious events that led to the cancellation of the next game in the series. You play in our world, up against ignited versions of our favorite animatronics. How is that not terrifying? You'll be in for a treat when playing this game. Each level has its own gameplay type, so it's not the same thing every night, and it's incredible. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest that you do. I haven't played it, but I've watched it. The fact that it's in our world just makes it so messed up. And you're playing as Scott, and now he announced his retirement, which only makes this more real. And it's not okay.
Number 10, Room for One More. Room for One More is likely a story that alludes to all the ways animatronics seem to sneak around and escape or infiltrate various places. In the direct case of this story, we see them actually attempting to sneak out of the complex, at least when it comes to the mini-arenas featured here, who attempted to sneak out inside Stanley, the security guard on duty, who can't help but fall asleep each night. And if I may add, were successful. Room for One More is also a reference to a line that Lefty says in Ultimate Custom Night, which could also have a double meaning considering that Lefty in Pizzeria Simulator is a disguise used to sneak in the puppet. Room for One More is from Fazbear Frights, number 3, 1:35 AM. Number 9, Friendly Face. This is the first story where we actually see a lost life somehow revived via an animatronic. Or well, I guess we've seen lost lives sort of revived via animatronics, but not in this way before. In the case of Friendly Faces, Fazbear Entertainment only promises to be able to revive lives with a lost pet. The Friendly Faces service also only claims to be able to use the DNA that they get to recreate the face of your lost pet, which is then put on an animatronic animal that is sent to you. Apparently, it does not recreate the personality of the lost animal. However, this is still a step closer than we were to animatronics being used to bring back life as opposed to being possessed by spirits. So like I said, this is kind of similar, but it's pretty different because these aren't, well, they're lives that are still dead, but they're lives that are being brought back with an animatronic intentionally, as opposed to kind of being possessed. This could be a story that is alluding to William Afton using animatronics to bring back the lives of his children after they were lost. Perhaps bringing back Crying Child as Michael? With this kind of mad science, anything is pretty much possible. Friendly Face is the title story from Fazbear Frights, book number 10. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want us to get more into the Fazbear Frights books and all of the stories in them, there's a lot of real good ones, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Also, if you give us a thumbs up, the next book will come sooner. Ha! Number 8, Coming Home. This story confirms the identity of the spirit that possesses Chica, although we had a pretty good indicator of that with the gravestones we saw in FNAF 6, and how they lined up with the animatronic heads seen in FNAF 3. However, this story pretty much confirms that theory to be true. Here we meet the spirit of a young girl named Susie, who knows she is nearing her time to pass over. She is able to move about her home, visiting her living and remaining family during the day, and looking for closure. Through her sister Samantha's drawings, she's able to communicate with her. Every night and permanently at the end of the story, Susie is spirited away by Chica. The story also leads us to believe that Susie has two sides, or maybe split personas, for her spirit, with this version in the story being peaceful and the one that possesses Chica being more aggressive and in pain or in agony. Coming Home is a story that appears in Fazbear Frights book number 4, Step Closer.
And it's 7 Babies Nightmare Circus. This time you've gotten lost in your mind. You're trapped, unable to wake and remember. Best guess is to defend yourself in your dreadful sleep. Use your flashlight to ward off unwanted creatures. Venture to tents to explore. Find a way out. Created by Mixless on Game Jolt, this is probably the scariest FNAF fan game based on Baby and the Funtime animatronics from what I've seen. These things are messed up and the story will send shivers down your already shaking spine just from looking at these screenshots. If you love Sister Location and the Funtime animatronics, take this game for a spin, because it's basically the Dark Carnival before the Dark Carnival was a real thing. It's great. It's also ironic that I'm saying about this one and not the Twisted Carnival, but that's Twisted, not Dark. And at 6, Twisted Reality. Created by Game Jolt user PanPie, Twisted Reality is based on the second novel of the official FNAF series, the Twisted Ones, but is featuring other fan-made animatronics such as Twisted Fredbear instead of the official Twisted animatronics. The game was cancelled as the developer lost interest in the game, however, he is now currently making a reboot of the game called Twisted Reality Returns. The game takes place in Fazbear's Frightening Museum, where you're the, you guessed it, night guard who has to defend themselves from the dangerous Twisted twisted animatronics buried underground. But during the day, while they may not come out, they still track you. The game currently has 3 animatronics, and the player must use different ways to defend themselves. The player has a TV and a security monitor. While TV is used to check on infected Freddys, the player can use the security monitor to check on twisted Fredbear. The power supply is limited, so the player must make sure to shut off their TV to cool down the generators. There is also a flamethrower feature in camera 3B in the monitor as well. This can be used to ward off any attackers, because, you know, it's fire. And the twisted animatronics are some of the most terrifying ones that we've been described, so it's bound to be fun. Halfway through into number 5, Golden Memory. Golden Memory, now Golden Memory Remastered, is a fan game created by GameJolt user Wester and features some damn good graphics from what I've been seeing. So if that's your cup of tea, I'd suggest that game for you. The game takes place at Fredbear's Family Diner in 1983 and features 4 animatronics: Spring Bonnie, Fredbear, Freddy, and Bonnie, all with different mechanics, but also simple to send away. The jump scares are scary, and while the gameplay is simple, with animatronics appearing in your office and you needing to click a button to make them go away, when they do appear in your office, it's terrifying. Trust me, play it for yourself and you'll end up yourself. But yeah, play it for yourself, I'm not doing it. And at 4, Pork Chop's Horror Show. Created by GameJolt user Fiznom, who is the one developing FNAF Plus as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, Pork Chop's Horror Show is a mix of free-roam point-and-click horror with the classic FNAF survival thrown in there to spice things up. Welcome, dear contestant, to the experience of a lifetime inside the reinforced walls of Pork Chop's Horror Show, where the brave and mentally unstable alike come to throw their lives away for the promise of money, prizes, and fame. Relatable. Survive the winding corridors of the haunted meat factory, where our mechanical but maniacal friend Pork Chop will hunt you down and make you wish your death were as quick and painless as a simple jump scare. However, the game is currently on hold since they're prioritizing FNAF Plus, which is understandable, but nevertheless this looks horrifying, and if you want a taste, you can play Pork Chop's Adventure, which is a separate GameJolt game. But still by Fiznom.
Number 3, The New Kid. The New Kid follows Devin and his friend Mick. These 2 young friends welcome a new kid into their group who also happens to be the new kid at school, Kelsey. Kelsey is popular because he is considered to be handsome and nice. While both friends find themselves feeling slightly jealous of Kelsey because of this, they also can't help but like him as well. Kelsey offers to let them use an empty room at his farmhouse for a new hangout spot, but too many people get invited to join, which means Devin and Mick ultimately get left out. Womp womp. To get revenge on Kelsey, Devin decides to pull a prank on him, taking both Mick and Kelsey to an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza for them to use as their new hangout spot. Devin makes Kelsey wear an abandoned golden Freddy suit, but the spring locks malfunction while Kelsey dances around in it, impaling him. Frightened, Devin and Mick make a break for it, leaving Kelsey behind, though Devin, feeling guilty, later returns planning to save Kelsey and nurse him back to health. However, when he reaches into the suit to try to help Kelsey, who he thinks is in there, his arm gets crushed by the animatronic's jaws, and he sees not Kelsey's blonde hair but black curly hair instead, on what appears to be a corpse. The implication at the end of the story is that Kelsey is the spirit or one of the spirits who haunts Golden Freddy, as we see him arrive at a new school attempting to befriend new students, even after his death. While many think Cassidy or Crying Child, or perhaps both, possess Golden Freddy, some have pondered if this is evidence that a third spirit might also possess the animatronic, and wonder if this could be Andrew, who is attached to the story The Man in Room 1280 and the Stitch Wraith epilogues. Or it could be possible that Andrew's actually the one possessing Golden Freddy and neither of the other spirits are. The New Kid is a story that comes to us from Fazbear Frights number 3, 1:35 AM. Number 2, Into the Pit. Into the Pit is a really weird story from the book Fazbear Frights number 1, Into the Pit, about a time-traveling ball pit that exists within a present-day dingy pizza place called Jeff's Pizza. Oswald spends most of his days there not having much money to do anything else due to his dad losing his job at the local mill. While at Jeff's Pizza one day, Oswald hides from his dad, who he is mad at, in the ball pit. Hiding in the ball pit, he finds when he emerges that he is transported to a different place and time, ending up at what appears to be one of the Fazbear Pizza places circa 1985. He ends up making friends, but notices the sinister presence of a giant yellow bunny animatronic, who it turns out is not actually an animatronic at all. Through this story, we learn that time travel is seemingly possible in the world of FNAF, and we get a glimpse into what appears appears to be the missing kids incident, a day when multiple victims were seemingly targeted, or at least where that became apparent as the pizza place seems to be in chaos. Number 1. The Real Jake. The Real Jake is from the 6th book in the series, Fazbear Fright's number 6, Blackbird. It's through this story that we believe we get confirmation of the name of Crying Child, assuming the books and the game lore match up in the ways that we think, or at least are related. Jake follows the story of a young boy who is very sick, but who is comforted by a family friend, Margie, who looks after him, and a doll named Simon, with him while his father is overseas, serving in the military. His father's name is Evan, and it's revealed that his father also has a brother named Michael. What? Jake and Evan both don't survive through to the end of this story, but the fact that Evan, the suspected name for Crying Child, believed to be Michael Afton's younger brother, is mentioned and is actually connected to a brother named Michael in this story is huge, and for many has been used as supporting evidence to confirm that Evan is in fact Crying Child's real name. And if you're wondering where people got Evan from to begin with, it was from the survival logbook, so we've got like double evidence. Double evidence!
And at 10, Sinister Turmoil, Sewers. Sinister Turmoil was planned to be a full release game. However, the full game never really came to fruition. Mangle was planned to be the main antagonist of the game, where they were using the name Prototype Foxy. However, while the whole game wasn't released, we managed to get Sinister Turmoil Sewers instead, which is a snippet of what the main game would have looked like. In the game, you were trying to escape a Freddy Fazbear amusement park when your friend says to escape through the sewers. However, when you enter, you realize that Mangle has been set loose in the sewers, which leads me to believe that your friend is up to some fishy business. Perhaps he is William Afton. The game from then on is very reminiscent of the Corn Maze from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. I've played through that minigame and the two are very similar. In Sinister Turmoil, which did come out first, there's a cupcake that follows you around, and if you don't look at it for long enough, it decides it's going to scream like a child, and it will alert Mangle to your location. In Corn Maze, there are clusters of crows on the ground in random places, where if you step on them, they scare the hell out of you and alert Foxy to your location. By the way, that's the worst part of that game. It's terrifying. The main antagonists of the game are versions of Foxy, Mangle in Sinister Turmoil, and Grim Foxy in Corn Maze. I think someone got their ideas elsewhere, Scott. And at 9, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is the first in the series of 5 Candy's games that include 4 main titles and then a final remastered version of the first one. After Freddy Fazbear's closed for good, it's clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment. So Candy's decided to take their shot. What could go wrong? The gameplay is similar to that of FNAF. However, you have the added ability of having night vision in the cameras, and they added a 3rd floor in the form of an office window, which adds more complexity and difficulty to the gameplay. The first game includes 13 characters, including the beloved phone guy, obviously a different one, but we all love the phone guy, and the main title character of Candy with her merry band of animatronic killers. Cindy, Blank, Chester, the Penguin, damn it Batman, I thought you had dealt with him, Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Cat, Origami Cat, and the Easter egg Markiplier animatronic. Who do you think the king of FNAF is? Let me know below. It's MatPat. Come on. And at 8, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is for sure one hell of a clever name. T-Jock has a unique viewpoint because you play as the one and only Danny DeVito. Sorry, I meant Scott Cawthon. Autocorrect. Created by Nixon, the story is set after Scott ended the Five Nights series. After he does, however, the animatronics start attacking him because they want to take what he took from them, their lives, in the form of the games. After the production of another game was cancelled, the game transitioned into The Joy of Creation Reborn. The game has several modes, including the original survival mode and a newly added story mode. The game features ignited versions of the old animatronics, and they look straight up terrifying. This is one of the scariest games on the list, and the story mode is the most terrifying game mode out of all of them by far. Even looking at the trailer gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Number 7, 1:35 a.m. 1:35 a.m. is significant because it potentially gives us a look at someone who is meant to be a stand-in or allusion to Mrs. Afton. Granted, it seems all we've really gotten is allusions to her character thus far, which really really makes me wonder if she even exists, and if the Afton children might not just be solely robotic creations of Williams. But I digress. In 1:35 a.m. we follow the story of Delilah, who becomes haunted by an alarm clock doll she purchases at a garage sale, who wakes her up in the middle of the night every night, even after she has already thrown the doll out. Delilah has a pretty tragic backstory filled with love and loss, and the doll Ella reminds Delilah of the child she has always wanted, which was why she bought it in the first place. Exhausted, Delilah ends up dying in an event in a nearby building that is under construction, possibly alluding to the death of the unknown person mentioned to us in Sister Location by Hand Unit. 1:35 a.m. comes to us from the Fazbear Frights book of the same name, which is book number 3 in the series. Number 6. To Be Beautiful. To Be Beautiful is a disturbing story that follows Sarah, a young girl who just wants to be beautiful because she believes that this is why no one notices her. She finds an animatronic named Eleanor, cleans her up, and in exchange for restoring her appearance and rescuing her, Eleanor promises to grant Sarah a wish. This is one of those be careful what you wish for stories. Sarah tells Eleanor of her desire to be beautiful. Eleanor sets out to make Sarah's wish come true, but does so in a very disturbing way, effectively giving Sarah surgery at night while she sleeps. While Sarah wakes up every morning feeling more and more beautiful as parts of her are progressively changed, in the end we learn that Eleanor really had been replacing parts of Sarah with junk. Eleanor gave Sarah a necklace to wear, and when this is accidentally removed, the truth is basically revealed. Eleanor herself is revealed to have somehow used these parts to create her own kind of glamour, transforming into Sarah pre-surgery when she presses her own matching necklace. Eleanor appears to also look a lot like Circus Baby from Sister Location, leading many to think that this might be one of Baby's escape attempts that went well and she was just using like another name, Eleanor, or that Eleanor herself is a different Circus Baby model and there are multiple Circus Babies out there. We always knew that Circus Baby could kind of modify her appearance using her pins, but this adds a whole new layer to the level of shapeshifting she could be capable of. To Be Beautiful is a story that comes to us from Fazbear Frights number 1, Into the Pit. Number 5. Epilogue number 1. While we haven't yet seen the character in the games, the first epilogue introduces us to the Stitch Wraith. The Stitch Wraith for a long time was a character of great mystery. We didn't really know who the Stitch Wraith was, or even why they were there. Later on, we'd find out many important pieces of lore and facts in relation to how the world works via the Stitch Wraith and their story. So the introduction of this character and their mysterious case in the first epilogue was pretty important in terms of what it led us to later. It's unclear if this is a character that we could see showing up in the games at any time soon or not, but many fans have speculated that sooner or later we'll at least see some kind of reference to the Stitch Wraith in the FNAF game universe. Number 4. The Man in Room 1280. This story was initially intended to be the last story we'd get in the Fazbear Frights series, but the book series was extended from 5 books total to 11. However, its initial intended place as the final story does make it still quite important, because you gotta remember this was the story that originally we were thinking this is going to be it, and when they were writing the books they thought this was going to be it. The Man in Room 1280 was thought of as being the continuation of William Afton's story, as it is believed he is the unknown man who is still somehow badly damaged and burned but miraculously alive in the hospital. Even after they took him off of life support, he still somehow continued to live. The spirit who is seemingly keeping him alive is believed to be Andrew, the vengeful spirit who is attached to the Stitch Wraith, and possibly also the child we see in the Happiest Day minigame, who wears the alligator mask, possibly Montgomery Gator's mask. We don't really know that yet, but that's what it seems to be. The Man in Room 1280 comes to us from the 5th Fazbear Frights book, Bunny Call.
And 3 is Shadow Over Freddy's, a tableau FNAF game with the ability to explore the entire pizzeria. You have different objectives instead of the typical gameplay, and the whole exploration thing has gotta be inspired by that Game Lab episode of FNAF. The way you complete these nights is by completing objectives, not surviving until 6 AM. You have no power to hinder you, but you also have no time to save you. Plus, the game is in black and white, which makes it all the more terrifying. Not being able to see the colors of the animatronics means you will be questioning every single little thing about this game. Is that an animatronic, or am I just seeing things? Is that the light, or is that something that's gonna kill me? Did I fart, or was that an animatronic? You'll never know. And where the hell is the fan? I don't know. The fan. The scariest part of this is that you're not done until you complete your objective. No biding your time, no cowering in fear, you need to move or you're gonna die. It's terrifying. Unit 2, Super FNAF. Remember FNAF World? Yeah, I wish I didn't either. However, if you were to try and play through FNAF 57, Freddy in Space, in a 16-bit pixelized version, would you do it? I think we all know that that's the best FNAF game in the series. Super FNAF is a 16-bit platformer game released on October 23rd, 2016, and it tries to pay homage to the original FNAF world where it drew its inspiration. There's an arcade mode, a story mode, a free play mode, side quests, and so much more. But there isn't a secret objective to gather clocks and set up clues for the real world for you to discover in FNAF 3. Wait, what if there is and just no one's discovered it yet? No, it doesn't exist. However, it would give the game some replay value, just trying to find it over and over again. The story mode contains 6 nights and has you guiding the original animatronics through the FNAF 1 pizzeria in platforming fun that will remind you of the classic Super Mario and FNAF combined. Definitely try it out, even if you don't like platformers, because like it's FNAF, and we all love FNAF. Finally, in at number 1, Pop Goes. A story based on the first 3 FNAF games, Pop Goes, like many others, is about a competitor and successor in a way to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A year after the fire at Fazbear Fright, a rich and creative inventor in England, only known as Fritz, has taken the role of continuing the animatronic pizza brand with its own restaurant called Pop Goes Pizzeria. They had extremely advanced robotics, but nothing like possessed animatronics walking around because they had kids stuffed inside them and then their souls got infused with their bodies, thus creating like soul metal remnant. Yeah, nothing like that. This pizzeria was far ahead of its time. 3D printers in every room, and touchscreen devices for the kids. It was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but better and without the child murder we all expect. But Fritz never built the place for the customers. He built it for himself. And as a night guard, you're part of the scheme. So let's get started and help Fritz out. Some observant viewers may have noticed that the name Fritz seems fairly familiar. It was actually the name that Mike used in the first FNAF game, and it was the name of the child who got stuffed into Foxy, as we know from the gravestone ending and it being in the same position of the good ending in FNAF 3. What could this man be doing? Is his name actually Fritz? Does he know Fritz? Is he related to Fritz? You'll have to play it yourself to find out.